Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. I hope you're doing very well today. Welcome to the first league of MH2. And guess what? This is like right after the client went live with the update. This is maybe 15 minutes at the time of this recording since it has been live. So we're playing some Temur Waterfalls. I'll break this down for you in a nice little deck tech here. And one of the reasons I'm really excited to play this is because it's actually easily accessible with the cards not really on the market yet. Like I said, the update just went live 15 minutes ago. In order for MH2 cards to be in wide circulation, people need to draft, they need to open a ton of chests, they need to buy a ton of packs, they need to get the cards, they need to be willing to sell the cards. Sometimes it can take, a full 24-hour cycle for most people to start having access to these cards, right? Thus, I don't know whether we'll face that many MH2 cards with our opposition, just to let you know that. And also, that's why I'm excited to play this deck as my first one in the queue, because today, at this time, is my time to play. I might not have the free time to play again until Sunday, and it's very convenient, therefore, that Shardless Agent is the only MH2 card that is in the deck. And Shardless Agent, of course, has existed forever. It just now has become legal, so we don't need to wait for cards to become available. We get to just jam right here, right now. Very excited for that, and very excited to play another donation league for our wonderful donor here, a very generous supporter, one of the best, Alex Cotier. Every time I say your name, my friend, I think I say it slightly differently. I think none of them are perfectly correct, but I am trying. Alex is a really nice guy, a really cool guy. Love talking to him, and he's all over the place with the decks that he wants me to play, and thankfully I am able to accommodate that these days thanks to Card Hoarder and the sponsorship. So big shout out to Alex for another really cool list, and big shout out also to John Cater, our newest Patreon supporter. He is an Inquisitor. Thank you, John. Thanks to all other patrons. So, what is this deck all about? Well, if you have followed my Will It Rock coverage, when I talked about Shardless Agent, I actually specifically went out of my way to say that I don't think Temur is the best shell for Shardless Agent, and I went on to explain that even though the Bloodbraid Elf into Shardless Agent chain is nuts, and even though you have a lot of the very good payoffs for the Cascade spells like we see here in Crashing Footfalls and Ancestral Vision, I think this color trio lacks the proper interaction. When you're looking at red, blue, and green, you don't have the hard hate or the increasingly main deckable interaction of white, and you certainly don't have the hard removal or the discard effects of black. Those are the two premier interactive colors, if you ask me, in the ways that synergize with Shardless Agent. Now, obviously, red's got a lot of good interaction too, but Lightning Bolt only can carry you so much in a deck like this that is 3-color. If we're 3-color, maybe we can or cannot play Blood Moon. I actually think maybe we should, but we're not here. Maybe more on that in a moment. And also, blue, of course, a very interactive color, but when you're playing 8 Cascade spells, and also Dreadhorde Arcanist for that matter, that all these cards want things that are proactive to cascade into. You can't cascade into permission with this deck, it's just terrible to do so. And it's also not a good Dreadhorde Arcanist target. So the point here is, we're a 3-color deck, we're kind of a mess in a few different ways in that regard, and I mean that in the most loving way possible, and we have no permission, and we have no discard and no hard kill spells. So for that reason, and we're also limited in terms of what hate cards we can play, so for that reason, I said during my coverage here that I expect that Temur will be very good at beating up on fair decks, beating up on interactive decks. And people in my Discord were saying, does it only do that? Like, how can we tool to beat combo, big mana, all-in graveyard decks, etc.? And I'm like, maybe we can make an accommodation or two. And in fact, one of the accommodations is a main deck Brazen Borrowers and out to random stuff and a little more interaction, while still being a pretty value-positive Cascade target, also giving us some, evasive attackers to close out the game. But ultimately, I said, I think Alex is basically on the right track here. I think following the signal of these 3 colors together and 8 Cascade spells together, this is where the name Waterfalls comes from, I think we just have to play to our strengths, which is probably beating up on fair decks. So I have no idea how it's going to go. Maybe we'll do the opposite. Maybe we'll steal games against Tron, which we do have some tech for, and maybe we'll get outground by fair decks. I have no idea. We're about to find out. But anyway, that's kind of my overall thoughts on the deck. I think the black based Shardless Sultai Shell is very promising, as I went on to say there. But there are more new cards we need from that. Alex wants to see Temur Waterfalls. That's what we're doing here. So the whole idea of the deck, of course, is that you get all kinds of value out of Bloodbraid Elf and Shardless Agent by themselves. They're going to be 2-for-1s that leave a body behind, and they're also going to be tempo positive, because you're spending 3 mana for a Grey Ogre plus a spell, or 4 mana for a Volshot Berserkers plus a spell. Tempo positive, value positive. On top of that, we have the nut hits off of the Cascade spells of 3 Ancestral Vision, which becomes Ancestral Recall when cascaded into, or Crashing Footfalls, which is a free, create 2 4/4 rhinos with trample. This card's actually really important. The Ancestral Vision is amazing value. I think Footfalls is going to be really important for us actually closing out games or competing with fast opponents, just having a board presence, right? So what else do we do with a deck like this? Well, we can also cascade Bloodbraid into Shardless Agent into something like that. Hopefully we get to live the true Waterfall dream. Dreadhorde Arcanist is an interesting card. Why are we playing this one? Well, if we do get cards like AV and Footfalls in the graveyard, Ancestral Recall, how about another round of that, right? Dreadhorde Arcanist can cast it for free out of the graveyard, can cast Footfalls for free out of the graveyard as well. That's really handy if these spells get discarded or countered or are cascaded into in the first place. We also have Lightning Bolt, as mentioned. We're leaning on this for interaction, for a little bit of reach. That's a good proactive Dreadhorde Arcanist target, also a good proactive card to cascade into. Speaking of proactive cards for Arcanist and for Cascade, that's why we're playing Serum Visions and Thought Scour, because again, we can't really play Permission in a shell like this, unless it's modal. Maybe there'd be room for Izzet Charm or whatever the better card than Izzet Charm is. But, we also have to set up our early plays too. We have to lower our curve a bit, and also Serum Visions can directly contribute to setting up Cascades. The one of Thought Scour maybe is kind of like an opt in that we can hold up Bolt or hold up Scour, but we can also Scour ourselves to fuel Arcanist, and even to fuel Wrenn and Six, as the case may be. And one of our only plays against combo might be to Thought Scour them and try to surgical their game-winning combo piece. I don't know if that's something that we're into, but that's something that we might have to do. And Utopia Sprawl is clearly the odd person out here, because there's no Arbor Elf. There's no Blood Moon to power out on turn 2, and Sprawl also is not a good Cascade target. It doesn't combo with Arcanist because it's just a permanent, you can't flash it back. So this is a very strange one, but the more I look at the list, the more I'm like, okay, maybe this is actually what we want to do. Maybe the way we can introduce an unfair element into a deck that is nominally fair, but it's so value positive it almost feels unfair, is to just start, cascading on turn 2. Shardless Agent T2 off T1 Sprawl seems good, especially if you can cascade into Wrenn and Six. And Wrenn and Six, glue for the deck as always, right? You're pinging the weenies, you're making land drops to hardcast Bloodbraid Elf, and you're offering an alternative win condition if Wrenn goes uncontested. Even more value where that came from, some much needed interaction for the deck, comes in the form of 1 Brazen Borrower and 2 Bonecrusher Giants. These cards are inherent 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s if you hit them off Cascade and cast their instant adventure effects, and also Borrower gives us evasion and a good clock. Bonecrusher Giant is just the biggest body we have access to. Finally, at the top end, 2 copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor. Kind of like Wrenn and Six, in that it's a utility spell, it offers an alternative win condition, and we can, of course, brainstorm into the perfect Cascade spell off the top for our Cascade cards waiting in hand. Maybe it's a little bit win more, maybe it's exactly what we need. And, having a healthy top end is going to reward us, hopefully, for playing Utopia Sprawl. On top of everything that we just mentioned here, you can also just suspend, Footfalls or AV on turn 1. Footfalls turn 1 suspended is decent against midrange. AV, very good against control, decent against midrange, suspended on turn 1. The mana base is a little bit of a mess, but I think it has to be if we're trying to Utopia Sprawl in a 3-color deck. So we've got 2 forest, 2 island, 1 mountain. There are reasons not to play snow-covered lands anymore, but hopefully we won't run afoul of those right away. Alex did submit these in his initial deck list before Break the Ice was spoiled, but hopefully we don't lose to Break the Ice today. And this does let us at least bluff Icefang Quattle, which is another card that we could play, but we're not. We're just in on other things, basically. But we've got those 5 basics, 8 fetch lands, 5 5 traditional shocklands. We've got 2 Breeding Pool, 2 Stomping Ground, 1 Steam Vents erring on the side of forests, 6 total fetchables because we've got a Ketria Triome as well for even better fixing and for really slow loops with Wrenn and Six, and 2 Waterlogged Grove for that good old flood insurance. The sideboard here, Fry is the card that we introduced. Shout out to Dan in the Discord for this suggestion, and Kaminet in the Discord for this Brazen Borrower suggestion. Fry is the anti-Teferi tech. I pointed out to Alex that this deck loses so hard to Teferi. Time Raveler, it's not even funny. Hosing Cascade, Hosing Cascade, Hosing Suspend, Hosing Suspend. We don't have hard answers to it. In general, he's just a really good card, right? So we have 2 copies of Fry to kill Teferi, and extra removal against white creature decks, which could be really important in the post-MH2 meta. We're not overflowing with removal. This will be good there, too. And it's good against any control deck, basically. Kind of a goofy card, but we'll take it. 1 Flame Slash when removal is what's needed. Kozilek's Return, which does kill our own Shardless Agents and our own Brazen Borrower, I guess. But ultimately it's an out to the Go Wide strategies and to the Auric Champion strategies. We got 4 copies of Cleansing Wildfire. I mentioned that we might be pretty soft to big mana in general, but, you know, if we can chain these against Tron, we can flash him back with Dreadhorde Arcanist. We are playing a full 4. Between those and between this Ancient Grudge and also between Surgical Extraction, I actually think our Tron matchup might not be that bad. I might be afraid of other big mana strategies more, but Tron, I think maybe we have a decent shot against, actually. Grudge is a late addition from Alex to combat the expected Stoneforge Mystic strategies, including those involving Cauldron Complete. We can beat Void Mirror with this, which is a new sideboard card that hoses Cascade, just like Teferi does, and obviously just shatter effects in general. Nice to have access to. Now, Alex initially had 3 relics in the sideboard, and I decided that I wanted to cut those, and I explained why. Number 1, they are non-bowing with Arcanist and with Wrenn and Six. I think that's kind of not good, even though they're a very good card in general. And he also had 1 extraction to supplement those. But number 2, I don't expect all in graveyard decks yet. There's been so much hate printed, I don't think people are going to be high on Dredge or like traditional Jund Living End, for example, right out of the gates. And if they are, hopefully Surgical Extraction plus a Proactive Clock could be good enough, especially because we have Arcanist to flashback Surgical. That is synergistic actively with Arcanist, whereas Relic is an active non-bow. Alex also put 3 Weather the Storm in here. I didn't counter-signal it. I am a little bit worried that it's just, like, not good enough against Prowess. I don't know if we need all 3, but I like this card a lot. It's conceptually a really good fit in the deck, and I didn't say anything about it because there's every chance that we see burn right out of the gates. We'll be very happy we had it if we do. Also, Storm, another good card, another good archetype, rather, to try to spike a wholly new meta, which is what we're entering, my friends. So those are my thoughts on the list. We're going to see how it plays out. Thank you so much again to Alex Cotier and to everybody else for watching and for your support. Now let's cascade a few times. Let's play some Temur Waterfalls in Modern with the newly legal Shardless Agent. Still hard to believe. Let's go. Alright, we're against Mono Red Obosh, I guess, but we've got turn 2 Shardless Agent. I'm gonna keep. And I don't know if this is any good as an opening hand. It's certainly interesting. And, you know, suspending Crashing Footfalls on the play against a deck like this is pretty good. But I think we came here to go for that good old Shardless Agent. Awkwardly, we have 3 Wooded Foothills in hand. Can't get a basic island quite yet. But we'll see. Serum Visions. Alright, well, here goes nothing, I guess. First time Shardless Agent into Crashing Footfalls. Let's go. It's pretty good. Pretty good on the play. We've now got that in the graveyard for Arcanist. Opponent gonna Flame Slash a Rhino. No double Flame Slash. Double Flame Slash opener. Oh my goodness, talk about getting rewarded for that type of keep. Alright, well, it's still an X for 1 for us, I suppose. So I guess if we don't mind shocking in the Stomping Ground, we don't need to fetch. I think overall that's fine. So we're going to go Visions into Arcanist into Suspend Suspend Footfalls. Yep. Okay. I think I might want to bottom both. Jace is interesting just because it's gasoline. Not bad against Soul Scar Mage. Not what I would call good either. I think I'm supposed to bottom both because they could have... If we're going to bottom the island, and then if they have Blood Moon, Jace could get locked in hand anyway. Unfortunately, we drew another land off the top as well. Which is real bad, but hey. Now, I think I'm supposed to get in here for at least one swing. I'm not in chump block territory quite yet. Not against Obosh. If we were against like a true prowess deck, I'd definitely be sitting back, but let's take a little swing while we can, right? So we're gonna make some rhinos next turn. This could turn on opponents light up the stage, but we're taking the hit. I don't want to lose Arcanist. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess that by itself could have been a reason to sit back with Shardless Agent, but they're going to concede. I was just going to say, I don't know if they can beat the Arcanist flashing back Crashing Footfalls. So, whoa, let's go! T2 Shardless Agent on the play, pretty nice. Weather the Storm, interesting here. Kozilek's Return, interesting here. Neither is a great option, ultimately. They're both kind of okay. I actually think Flame Slash might just be the best card, just kind of like a clean kill. I'm not really into all that much else, but we might have bad cards to cut. I could put Jace over in this category. Brazen Borrower as a 3-1 is probably pretty bad. Double blue could be a risk against Blood Moon. Wrenn and Six is medium, but as only a 2 of, I can probably leave it in, especially because they could be on X1s we haven't seen yet. I think everything else is okay, even like the slow Ancestral Visions are okay. We probably just don't want to side all that heavily, do we? So, Cleansing Wildfire could fix our own mana under Blood Moon. That's actually kind of spicy. I just don't know how much I care about it, especially if we cut the double blue cards. That's interesting. At the same time, I don't know that I want to play Kozilek's Return at all, because it's not... This is like in out to tribal decks and to Auric Champion decks, right? Like, we lose our Shardless Agents to it. It's not perfect. We lose our Bloodbraid Elves to it, too. At the same time, Weather the Storm is not, like, the most exciting effect here. What if we just kind of play one of each of these as, like, high ceiling cards? They're both probably awful in multiples anyway, right? Not only together in hand, but to see multiples over the course of a game. I think I can get behind that. I'm honestly just considering Wildfire to fix our own mana sometimes, and because it's never dead, cantripping, but nah. Alright, Crashing Footfalls. The all-star there, that and Shardless Agent. Alright, this hand, I think, is keepable. The opponent will maul. Yeah, I'll keep it. We've got removal into Arcanist. It's a much slower hand, but if we draw the third land, we should be functional in a couple different ways. And then if we draw the fourth land, like, we've just got value for days. This is a very value-oriented matchup, which is why I wasn't all that high on Weather the Storm. I do like Alex's call to register Weather the Storm, though. It is a good fit in the deck. Okay, Wrenn and Six is gonna get as close to guaranteed for that land as we can really get. Opponent with 2 turns of doing nothing, huh? Alright, hopefully we don't get mooned here, even if we do. We'll at least have made this third land drop. We'll be playing with red and green. We can try to draw a basic island, but even on just red and green, we've got 2 bolts in Arcanist, and if we draw any 4th land, a Bloodbraid Elf. Opponent will stomp Wrenn and Six and then play a Bonecrusher Giant, I suppose. Yes, indeed. Alright, so we're not getting mooned. That's pretty good. We got Utopia Sprawl. Interesting. I guess we are going to go for a Shardless Agent. There is certainly some temptation here to, like, kind of protect the Wrenn a little bit better. I'm not really sure. I just, the upside of Shardless Agent is pretty huge. We're going to be playing 2 spells, but picking 1 back up, so if we cascade into Ancestral Vision, we'll actually be discarding to hand size, which is not great. But if we, like, wanted to... This is a fascinating turn. I think I might just play Sprawl on the forest, get a basic island, and then play Shardless Agent, but there's certainly other options here. I think we can make red this time. And I'm going to wait to activate Wrenn in case we cascade into Stomp. Punished by cascading into the only other Wrenn and Six, which I was going to say, I almost mentioned that as being just really unlikely, but at least it's a higher loyalty Wrenn. They both died of Bonecrusher, though, so it doesn't really change much, and we could have been rewarded by just picking another land back up, but not that big a deal. Not sure if I'm supposed to chump here. That's decently likely that they'll just remove Shardless Agent. So that's a really unlucky cascade. However, we've got 2 more cascades in hand, and next turn we can even go Bloodbraid into something and Lightning Bolt, or we can go Shardless Agent, deploy a Dreadhorde Arcanist. The world is kind of our oyster, and with this many resources in hand, I think if they allow me to chump block, I'm going to. Because Wrenn just continuing to scale, continuing to be a resource. If we untap with Wrenn for 1 more turn, we can then not die in a single hit to Bonecrusher Giant, right? Alright, opponent's back with us. And sure enough, it's a Firebolt into attacking Wrenn off the field. Again, unfortunate. Ooh. Blast Zone. Tangles with Utopia Sprawl, and then Obosh goes into hand, which is a card that we could really struggle to beat. Alright, we've got another Arcanist. I don't know if we need that anytime soon. We might have to double bolt Obosh. So if we're going to double bolt Obosh next turn, playing a Dreadhorde Arcanist now is pretty appealing. And with that in mind, we could still lead on Shardless Agent, see what we get, and decide what to do from there. I think I like that. Alright, draw 3 seems good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So now we can jump with Agent if they just go Obosh and swing for 8. And if they do something else, well, we just kind of refueled the hand where, okay, they're going to Lightning Bolt Arcanist. So no Obosh this turn. That's kind of a win in and of itself. I think I'm going to take this hit. I want to save the Agent to protect against an Obosh turn. Okay, they're going to stomp it post-combat. Interesting. All right, we got a Bonecrusher of our own. I think we probably want to begin with Bloodbraid Elf here. We can also Utopia Sprawl first. I think we need to keep making red with the way this hand is shaping up. I know we only have one blue source besides Waterlogged Grove. I think that's okay. And we are playing into the Blast Zone, but I don't think I mind that if that's the play that they want to make, right? Alright, pretty medium hit of Serum Visions, but I'll take that Flame Slash. So bottom, top, that's fine. And there's another Shardless Agent in hand. Alright, I think I'm just going to play another Arcanist here. Kind of pose the same problem as we did last turn to the opponent. And also now Bloodbraid Elf can trade with Bonecrusher, which I will. I'm not sure if playing Utopia Sprawl there or not was correct, but it fixes our mana for now. I think the tempo and them losing a land could be pretty important if they do decide to crack it for the 2-for-1. So this is my first time playing any kind of a deck like this. A lot of these cards I've never cast before, including Dreadhorde Arcanist. This does strike me as the type of deck in general, and matchup in particular, where there are just many, many, many different lines that you could take. Certainly some games will be more straightforward. You don't have always agency with your Cascade, so a lot of it is variance, or a lot of it is kind of chosen for you. But in general, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, opponent playing another Bonecrusher. Gonna Flame Slash our Arcanist. Got it. Alright, our life total is getting pretty low. Let's kick off with a Shardless, see what we get. That's a great one. That's a great one. Okay. So now I think we're supposed to try to start killing these, this opponent here. To that end, I'm going to Flame Slash a Giant. Attack with a Bloodbraid Elf and say go, but the opponent's just going to scoop it up. I guess they are too far behind. Okay, so I think there were a lot of, like, micro decisions to take our time on there. I also felt like I was playing slow, which I can forgive myself for. It's my first time playing a deck like this, as I just got done saying. But we just saw the power there, my friends, the obscene power of the Waterfalls strategy. We had a couple bombs and a couple average hits. Either way, the value was completely insane, totally burying the Obosh deck. And we just turned the corner right there with a big clock. All of a sudden, we've got triple bolt plus stomp in the back pocket to keep the board clear or close the game out of nowhere. We had them dead probably next turn, honestly, unless they had a nutty hand, which clearly they didn't. So, well, there you go, Alex. Your strategy vindicated right away with a pretty insane display here in round 1 against Obosh Prowess. Alright, kind of an odd hand. The Triome makes it more odd than it would otherwise be, I think, but it's also odd in other ways. Nevertheless, I think I'm going to keep it. Don't necessarily know how to sequence with it, but I think I'm going to keep it. Double Sprawl is a little strange without the ability to get 2 basic lands, right? But I think with our 3-color deck, I suppose we do have to put it on non-basics a decent amount of the time, right? So just making red here, I suppose. Allowing us to go Stomp Your Dork, play Triome, pass next turn if that's the play. Oh, we can Stomp their Colony Garden. Man, if only we were on Blood Moon. They are probably sweating it out right now, thinking we're Ponza, but instead, we are this deck, which is pretty cool too. So, spending a Crashing Footfalls is very slow, even starting now, on turn 2 on the play against this deck. So if we're going to go Sprawl here, there's 1 floating, we have 3 for turn. We can suspend Footfalls and Stomp the plant. I mean, obviously we could save Stomp for Azusa, but I think I might actually do that. Like I said, it's a very odd opening progression. Very, very odd. And, I mean, we get to go Bloodbraid Elf on turn 3. We have a Bonecrusher Giant waiting in the wings, but this is all not necessarily the most relevant against Titan. So again, I just feel like if we're playing Sprawl and playing this value game, we should have like a Blood Moon. We should be on Blood Moon, even if we're 3-color. That was my first instinct. Obviously, we were rewarded for not being on Blood Moon there in Game 1, so that's definitely a thing. Nevertheless. Alright, we're putting a clock together. I think I'm supposed to keep the Triome to try to cycle it away if we get to the stage of the game where that matters. Alright, so a decent clock by our deck standards, but the opponent looks like they've got kind of everything rolled up. We'll see, though. They kept 7, I believe, right? They sure did. Alright, this seems like a bad matchup, but we do have wildfires on the side that can help. Opponent found that Amulet, Talaria West time. For a Summoner's Pact. Alright, I'm not sure what we really want to draw here from our main deck. Like, okay, Shardless Agent. Why not? Why not, right? Is that better than Bonecrusher Giant? I think it has to be. Serum Visions. Not the greatest, is it? 2 islands. Oh my goodness. Alright. Looking a bit of a mess here at this exact moment in time. Let's just main phase the Serum Vision, see if we hit like a lightning bolt or something castable off of it, I suppose. Not quite. There's one on the top. So we got a Bonecrusher in hand. Brazen Borrower is also interesting. Both of these cards could play. So we're about to swing 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. But Sunhome is going to give them double strike. It's a little hard to calculate. I suspect we're supposed to just top the bolt and try to kill them next turn with Stomp and Bolt while not dying this turn. Ooh, they got a Dismember. Interesting. Well, I didn't really have that on my radar. Obviously, they take 4 in order to prevent 4, but the good news for us is... Okay, there's their Dryad. Got it. Boros Garrison. The good news for us, I was going to say, is the repeated value of attacking over the course of a game with Rhino doesn't really matter. We're either in we're in either kill or be killed territory right here and now. And the Dryad makes total sense since they had the Titan just rolled up in hand already. Got it. That is some scary stuff. And with Dryad involved, we are overwhelmingly dead. So, that's a little bit rough. I think we had the beating of a Titan there, but not of Titanati in hand in the Pact for Dryad, plus the lands to make all that happen. That really sucks, because it could have been our key to the match to steal that game 1. That was a stealable game 1. We almost did it. Not quite the perfect aggro hand, but a pretty decent one from us. And not a nut draw from the opponent, but a very solid one. So I think we like Ancient Grudge. Flame Slash kills Dryad and Azusa if they're playing that. Plus, Arboreal Grazer, I think that's probably a consideration. Otherwise, Surgical Extraction could be good if we found a way to get to the relevant targets in the graveyard. I don't think we're going to try to like Flame Slash and then Surgical the Dryads, though, especially on the play. I think we're going to go aggro Disrupto mode. So I'm going to cut the Jaces. I'm going to cut at least one Wrenn. I'm going to cut like a Serum Vision, an Ancestral Vision, and one more cut to make. I think it could be another Serum Vision or another Ancestral Vision or the final Wrenn. Or, yeah. Yeah, probably nothing else. We're probably leaving everything else in, including Dreadhorde Arcanist, slow though it can be. Be cool to kind of repeatedly wildfire them out of the game. Not that that's particularly likely, so I think I'm just going to cut another Serum Visions here. No, sorry. I mean, this at least finds us ways to race. I'm going to cut Ancestral Vision. This hand's perfectly functional, but I think it's too slow. We turn 1 suspend Footfalls, turn 2 Arcanist, turn 3 Arcanist free cast Footfalls. and then turn 4 Bloodbraid Elf if we draw the 4th land. That's actually not that bad for on the play. I'd definitely mull on the draw. On the play, I think it's okay, but we can, probably supposed to mull, can probably do better. Alright, this one at least ramps with Utopia Sprawl. It's, you know, probably kind of a worse hand in a couple important ways, but I think here we'll keep. I think we're actually going to deny ourselves blue for the moment. In order to make red here and next turn have Arcanist into Lightning Bolts. Even if we just bolt a Grazer, that would have been worth it. Just because we're assuming we can recast, right? Crashing Footfalls, eh? So this is how we race, I guess. Alright. Oof, such a bad draw of Ancestral Vision. Okay. Yep. There is even an argument there to simply deploy the Bonecrusher Giant, but like, if they have a really good draw, we're not winning the race with that decision anyway, and if they don't have a really good draw, maybe we regret giving up the value of the Stomp. Obviously, plus the tempo of suspending Crashing Footfalls, but both of those things could really not matter, like, at all. And then we'll draw land. Yeah, I'm going to see some real non-bows with the deck at the moment. Kind of the wrong half of stuff coming together, but that'll happen. Naturally drawing too many suspend cards, being a little bit too slow, not having enough relevant interaction against a deck like this. This is something that we mentioned talking about it in Discord, that it is very good against fair decks like the Obosh deck, and unless you're doing something like the aforementioned Moon, not good enough against unfair decks. And to that end, I'm going to concede to the second back-to-back turn 4 Dryad plus Titan Wombo combo. So yeah, if we'd found some Cleansing Wildfires, maybe, that would be the thing to do, chain those together. I could have mulled to 5 looking for them. I don't know how well this deck mulls to 5, when we don't have, again, that, like, single card that wins the game like Blood Moon. If we had Blood Moon in the deck, I would have definitely mulled to 5. But with, like, Wildfires, you want to keep, like, a decent hand and just keep chaining them together, right? So, kind of giving the Titan player a free win there. What can you do? Again, game 1 was stealable, though. And, you know, they kept 7, really solid 7s both times. That's not going to happen all the time either. So, not saying it's unwinnable, but I don't want to play that deck again, that's for sure. Okay, we're against a Lurrus deck. I think we keep, like, a balanced, slow 7 against most Lurrus decks. We'll keep the opponent will mull. That's nice. They're down to 5. Interesting, interesting. Don't know what to expect, obviously, even before Modern Horizons 2. Anything under the sun could be playing the good old Cat Nightmare Companion. But, Razor Verge Thicket? Oh, are we against... Oh, they still could be Bogles playing Hierarch, I guess. I kind of doubt it, though. I don't know what to expect with that. but go off, so we're definitely just going to bolt that. Double Razor Verge Thicket, pass. Alright, so Bonecrusher Giant's an interesting one. Holding up Stomp gives us, actually, there's a lot of incentives to do that, because if they play anything stompable, we'll regret not doing it. Then next turn we'll have to decide between spinning the wheel of Shardless Agent or stomping whatever threat they present. That said, despite that consideration, I still think I'm going to suspend and deploy the Triome, because we have, obviously, more proactivity here. And what was I going to say? Oh, and we can now go Agent into Bloodbraid Elf and guarantee that we go 3 into 4 without having an ETB tapped land messing us up. Is this just Lurrus into hand? Sure is. Which is very good, but dies to Stomp. So I'm really glad that we suspended the Footfalls, and now it's Shardless Agent time, baby. Let's go. So we want to fetch first. Forest Island, Mountain, Mountain Forest. We don't need to. Alright, draw 3. Seems good. In a grindy match on an empty board. Let's go. AV time, AV time. Inkmoth Nexus. What? This is Infect. I didn't really... I guess I can see that now. Stoneforge Mystic? Okay, what is this? Now I don't know again what it is. We'll find out. Yeah, it's a hammer. It's a green hammer time. I haven't seen this deck play green before, but what are you gonna do? The draw of a lightning bolt is completely and utterly incredible. So, we could... We're definitely holding up at least one kill spell. We could kill Stoneforge Mystic with Stomp, hold up Lightning Bolt. I think that's very reasonable. The problem is we then have to kill the Colossus Hammer target if we can. And also, we have to then find a way to kill Lurrus. The reason to kill Stoneforge Mystic, though, is if they have something else, if there's like more of a value game involved, like if they have, we let them untap and they have Batterskull, we probably can't really beat that with what we have in hand. So I think for that reason, maybe we do kill Stoneforge Mystic right now, the Stomp. But I have not seen... green in Hammer time before, so I definitely am in the dark a little bit. Okay, they're going to protect... I think that's fine. Honestly, I think that's fine. That's, I mean, we lose Bonecrusher Giant's like a bad play overall, but I think we can hopefully survive that. So now we just, you know, we get to see what Stoneforge Mystic is up to. We also don't lose the Shardless Agent on an attack that way. I guess that's something. Another Inkmoth Nexus is a bit scary, though. It's like they're just going for the value game, which you do understand, because it's a 2-for-1 guaranteed, and they hopefully are clearing the way for Colossus Hammer to stick. The Exalted beats, I respect it, Stoneforge. I respect it. No block. Alright, gotta kill Lurrus. Crashing Footfalls not looking as good anymore, but it's coming. But it's coming. Alright, Utopia Sprawl. Alright, I mean, we can play Bloodbraid Elf in the hopes of bolting them out of the game next turn, or we can spin the wheel right now with Bloodbraid Elf. Or we could begin by cracking Waterlogged Grove, see if we find more interaction, and then decide what to do from there. That's a tough one, my friends. I think maybe we're here for the glory, though. I'm feeling strangely a little bit behind. We've got all our colors. Let's just make more red, I guess. I'm also going to tap in such a way as to bluff a lightning bolt, which I think is important even if we don't actually have it, and even if our life total does matter. But we're here to spin the wheel. Let's go for the spin. A weak spin with Serum Visions. Into Jace and Shardless Agent. Well, we obviously bottom Misty. Are we topping Shardless, or do we need to dig for more interaction? I mean, we have the mana 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to Shardless into interaction, and then we can also play Jace or Arcanist, so I guess we top that. I'm going to swing with Bloodbraid Elf, leave back one blocker in case of Colossus Hammer shenanigans. Really interesting game. I guess we now know at least that green is for protection spells, which is interesting in a deck that has the built-in resilience of Lurrus already. Obviously, Veil of Summer is going to be something they can reach for in the side. Alright, this is like an Infect Hammer Time hybrid as far as I can tell. So I'm going to take this damage again, I think. Very bizarre game, my friends. We got those rhinos coming, let's go. Alright, so just kicking off with a Shardless here. We'll see what we can see. Utopia Sprawl, got it. Sure. We've got some not great Cascade targets, don't we? But it happens. Okay. I think I kind of just want to play... I mean, I still really want to get the Arcanist down, but, Jace Bounce Glistener Elf seems okay. You know what? I'm gonna go for the Arcanist, so let's crack Waterlogged Grove first to see if we can do anything else exciting. Another Shardless Agent, that's actually kind of exciting. Do we dare? Yeah, let's go for it. The agents haven't really... I mean, this is just what we're here to do, right? They haven't really let us down much yet. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Wrenn and Six. Now we've got a card that does stuff in the matchup. Now we're pinging. Alright, let's go for a ping on the Glistener Elf, although at this stage it could even be correct to hit the Noble Hierarch, I don't know. But that'll resolve. Alright. Swinging out, if they want to play combat tricks to beat these Cascade threats in combat, I think that's fine. They don't. Alright, so they might be kind of in kill us or die territory. We know one card in hand is Colossus Hammer. There's one unknown. And that's the game. Alright, very strange deck from the opponent from my perspective. If I saw the whole thing, I'm sure it'd make sense. And a very strange game one in general, but we got there. So, Cleansing Wildfire is actually a consideration against a deck like that. Ancient Grudge is going to kill a lot, including Inkmoth Nexus when it's a creature, and the equipment from Stoneforge, so that's a guarantee. We want all removal, including Flame Slash. I think Kozilek's return is likely to be good enough to play, even that's a little slow against their fast draws when we're on the draw, right? Fry kills a few things, Lurrus, Stoneforge Mystic, at least from what we saw. So, I'm going to cut all Ancestral Visions this time, and maybe all the blue cantrips in general. I think we're supposed to cut Jace. I think everything else looks pretty solid from our main deck, so let's get all the real good removal in. And then we could just play a single Fry, not mess around with Cleansing Wildfire. Oh, I'm sorry. That was before we cut the blue cards. We can play the full 4 Cleansing Wildfire, pardon me. So let's see what our curve looks like this way. We're obviously clustering the curve a little bit around 2 because we cut some free spells, or 1 mana suspends, and some 1 mana cantrips, but we also cut the Jaces from the top end. So the question is, are we really going to miss these cantrips, or should we just try to wildfire the deck to blow up utility lands and see how many basics they have? I think just because it's removal for Inkmoth Nexus, we're probably supposed to. It's possible that also Fry could be dead in hand against their green cards long enough that we should be playing a Visions or 2 ahead of it, but I think I'm going to run like this and see how it goes. Fry could also be a bad Cascade hit, right? Again, they have to have Stoneforge or Lurrus from what we've seen, but maybe they play Pure Steel Paladin for that Colossus Hammer or whatever else. Well, we've got double Fry in hand, but we've also got Flame Slash and Wrenn and Six. This is just is close to an all removal hand as our deck has, so I'm gonna keep it. Alright, gonna Flame Slash your Dork on T1. Let's go. There it is, yep. Alright, now, you kept a 1-lander, you're going to play another ping target. Nope, dang. I could still play a ping target. Damping Sphere. Damping Sphere, that's no fun. Alright, whatever. Let's get our Wrenn down uncontested, that's pretty darn good. So we basically just have to cascade at 5 for Bloodbraid Elf instead of 4. Or 4 instead of 3 for Shardless Agent. Alright, opponent, they seem like they had something else to do, but maybe their own sphere held them back. I mean, we're not really doing a great deal this turn, are we? But, I think we have to hold up Fry, even though we're just continuing to make everything but blue that way. I think that's fine. So Utopia Sprawl to make red. Get this Triome down. And we'll pass really wishing that Fry was Ancient Grudge, or even Stomp, or of course Lightning Bolt. But we'll see what the OP's got here. They didn't do anything on our end step, even though they can flash stuff in. Okay, they go get Colossus Hammer. Bloodbraid Elf. Okay, so we actually don't have an out here. to the Colossus Hammer. Because they're going to go ahead and flash in Hammer on the end step. They're then going to untap, animate, attach. Now, we could just do nothing in bluff removal, and that's definitely something. But I think we actually should Cascade, because number one, it is going to provide a blocker, because this is going to lose flying, so if they don't have, like, a protection effect to get it through, we'll at least stay alive another turn. And number two, like, I think they're just going to call our bluff, even if we do bluff, right? Yeah, so we're also still just bluffing Lightning Bolt this way, so I think it is the play. Well, we're bluffing Lightning Bolt if we cast Shardless Agent. I think we should just go for the higher Cascade of Bloodbraid Elf, no bluff. Alright, well, we make a couple big old blockers. And now we race. Opponent didn't flash anything in on the end step. Did they forget about that, or what did I miss? Maybe I missed something. Oh, sure, they fly, and then after we don't block. Wait a minute. So it loses flying. Now we can... I don't know if I understand, but sure. So one block is all we need to stay alive. And then they'll just scoop. Yeah, I think opponent misplayed there. But they're not actually dead. I think that was a shame scoop more than anything. We don't really have anything. You know what? Trying to parse this out in the first hour of MH2 being legal with everybody, obviously including us, trying totally off-the-wall stuff, let's just not. Maybe we can look back at that after the fact. For now, that just is what it is. We'll take the dub. All right, good job, Temur Waterfalls. We are 2-1. Let's go on to round 4. All right, this hand is pretty bad, I think. I think it's a trap to keep, like, just because we have a lot of things to do. We're probably supposed to look for something more busted than this. Like, 2 suspend cards in the opener is pretty bad. So I'm going to mulligan. Alright, now we're talking. It's just a little difficult to decide which one to bottom. Probably supposed to be a land, but not definitely. OP kept 7 on the draw with no companion. And probably some puzzlement as to our turn 1 Utopia Sprawl for blue. Alright, the draw Bonecrusher seems pretty good. Let's lead on Serum Visions and hope they're not going to spell snare us. I'm going to definitely top the Bloodbraid Elf. So we just are going to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I think topping the Waterlogged Grove is decent, actually, behind Bloodbraid Elf, but it's just, yeah, I'm just going to bottom it. And we get to jam Dreadhorde Arcanist, threatening a free Serum Visions next turn, unbeatable value. Ooh, Watery Grave Esper Control. I was going to say if they just want to path this to mess up our scry and to deny us the value, I would understand that, but they've got Fatal Push. That's bad news for us. However, we're going Bloodbraid Elf mode against a control deck on the play on turn 3. That's pretty awesome. And we just find another Arcanist where that came from, so that's definitely decent. It's not the most value-positive Cascade of all time, but it is just a nice 2-for-1. Alright, OP. They're pathing us. Okay. We're down to 1 basic and it's turn 3. That's pretty bad against control, right? Pretty awful stuff. Esper Charm. Oh my god, we just got absolutely wrecked. Down goes Bloodbraid Elf and Bonecrusher Giant, and we rip a land off the top. Every time I play against Esper Control, they completely, like, nut draw me like this. They're at 10, though. But if we could draw any gas off the top, I'd be... I'd be happy. Instead, we're drawing nothing. I don't think I'm supposed to cast a spell at all there, so certainly not a Utopia Sprawl. But control deck's always got something to do on the unstep, even if it's only a single opt. Alright, we want to make them, like, cryptic to tap this down, because their life total's getting so low. So to that end, we're going to move straight to attack, see what they've got. Hopefully not a Kaya's Guile, like, next turn or something. I'll cast a Serum Visions. I'm not even clear that I'm supposed to, but we find a Bloodbraid Elf off of it. And we find Shardless Agent and Wrenn and Six on the top. So, why don't we top both of those, because I think cascading Elf into Shardless into Wrenn is pretty good. And in fact, I think that's so good that I'm supposed to just Bloodbraid right now. But the problem is if they have Supreme Verdict and they just, like, let the Cascade spells resolve, and then... counter Wrenn and then untap and Verdict, that's real bad. So I think I'm just saying go here. If they path us, I don't think I'm supposed to shuffle. Oh, I also forgot that I'd just draw the... I just forgot I'd draw the Shardless Agent, which is obviously still decent, right? But does change things a little bit. OP saying draw 2 with Esper, that's fair enough. And then they're going to path us. I'm going to say no to the search, I guess. But that feels bad, man. That feels so bad. But if they don't have permission or removal, we could still get them with the Bloodbraid into their end, right? That's just unlikely. But we have a Shardless Agent in the back pocket. So do we now Shardless into Wrenn? Because we know it'll be a good Cascade hit. And we're probably not threatening lethal either way. There's no way they have neither permission nor removal. I think so. Begin with the Utopia Sprawl. See if you want to counter that. No? Darn. Don't know if I played this perfectly optimally, but we could still get there because their life total's so low. I'm very afraid of Kaya's Guile, though. Because the life... everything's relevant, but especially the life gain is annoying. Alright, so they've got a Cryptic Command. Bloodbraid Elf could have really tested them there, right? Just please don't, like, snap Archmages charm me. But, I mean, okay. Now that they fetched to 3, they could still die to, like, a Wrenn ping off the top, plus, okay, they're gonna push. Got it. Okay, Bloodbraid Elf, now's your time to shine. Now's your time to shine. Let's go. OP at 3. We got a Shardless Agent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Woohoo! Seems good. Whoops. Let's just do it this way. Alright, but with the Serum on the stack... Oh, I thought I'd receive priority. Anyway. That's... Ooh, that actually sucks. Yep, I should have fetched first. Wasn't thinking of Serum Visions. There's so much to think about with this deck. I guess we'll just nominally top the Lightning Bolts. But I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, that was a really bad Cascade hit for a couple different reasons, but let's just jam a Shardless Agent and hope we hit that bolt again, I guess. Okay. You know, I think that was actually maybe a little bit bad all around. I possibly should have led on Shardless Agent, too. Trying to hope they counter something. Alright. Kaya's Guile. So they're still dead on board unless they have yet another Fatal Push, and they don't. So I got away with one there. I should have fetched first. I wasn't even thinking about Serum Visions in my own deck, but I should have fetched for that. And then, like a not strictly incorrect play, but probably strategically incorrect overall, I should have probably led on Shardless Agent, although even that's not always going to be clear. Anyway, we're against a fair deck, so our Cascade stuff is OP. The problem is Teferi, which I assume is in their deck, completely and utterly invalidates all of our strong cards. That's why we have the card fry in here. I'm going to play them even if they're not on Teferi, whatever. We have to have this in here. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're on, Jace or Big Tef if they're even for some reason not on Little Tef. I think that's all we want to do. Every card in our deck's pretty good, actually, against control, so I think I might just cut a Thought Scour. And even though Serum Visions is fine, I think we probably cut that too. I don't see anything else that's bad. Is Utopia Sprawl bad? I don't know. I should have considered that more. Maybe cutting a Sprawl is correct. Well, now I'm kind of glad that we left all the Sprawls in, because it allows us to keep this hand, which I suspect that we're supposed to, but it's not entirely clear that we should. We've got some risk factor involved here. Ancestral Vision, suspending that is actually pretty decent in this matchup, but we're going to set up the early Shardless Agent play most likely. We do need double blue a lot more in this matchup. I'm still making red there, but I think making blue would have been okay. Okay, so opponent will scry to the bottom. Okay, so we can go Agent, which risks a dead Cascade of Fry, but is also clearly the highest upside play. Or we can suspend AV, play a Dreadhorde Arcanist. I think I have to play Agent here with nothing else in the graveyard, like we can attack bolt next turn, but I think we have to go for the Shardless Agent at this moment in time. Into Ancestral Vision. Okay, I will draw 3. Seems good, although we are discarding to hand size, and we still haven't hit a third land after all of that, really. I think I'm going to put another AV in the bin. This is a real awkward decision, actually. Yeah, we're supposed to just keep the Fry for Teferi. I think we're supposed to more or less keep everything else. Suspending AV is good. Maybe we could bin Dreadhorde Arcanist and just, like, have a higher floor of suspending AV at some point. If we bin Arcanist and we play Utopia Sprawl next turn, we might not have enough proactive to do, but I'm still going to do it that way. Brazen Borrower, still no other land, big yikes. Man, just to land off the top for Bloodbraid Elf, can you imagine? Such an odd play. I guess we'll make double blue. We got enough incentives. Alright, another round of fuel coming up. I don't think I'm going to bolt just to use a card here and use a mana, despite us having incentives to be efficient with both. Opponent with no fourth land. That's hype. Yeah, if we'd made our third land drop last turn for the fourth mana, I think we'd be so far ahead. As it is, I mean, we can certainly Bloodbraid right now, and I think we're probably supposed to. We draw the third land now, which is pretty cool. Alright, let's go for it, holding up Lightning Bolt, I guess. Into another Ancestral Vision? I guess so. We've seen all three in the top 16. Oh my god, but they're not even that good because both of them are discarding to hand size. That one draws out an Archmage's Charm at least. That's honestly a pretty fine outcome for us. Oh no, they're Archmage's Charming the Bloodbraid Elf. Got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because we are discarding to hand size again. Due to that, I think I'm just going to bolt them right now. Because now we have double Fry in hand to beat Planeswalkers. And now we've got the clock that's a little bit more appealing. Still no other land for OP. Where can I see the counters on my Ancestral? Oh, I don't even have that one open. Okay, there we go. What a wild ride this deck is, my friends. What a wild, wild ride. Opponent might have, like, Snap Opt. I think they've considered a block a couple times here. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can play Jace Hold Up Fry or Hold Up Petty Theft. Obviously, Jace could get countered. I think that's probably worth the risk. If we're doing that, we can also lead on Utopia Sprawl. Okay. We are outgrinding the opponent. They are keeping up with us barely. I think I'm going to stomp here on the unstep to be efficient and to advance the clock. No fourth land is obviously pretty lucky for us out of them. We've got 2 Waterlogged Groves, too, to prevent flooding. Our own life total getting amusingly low from all the fetching, shocking, and tapping of the first Grove. Stomp drawing out the Charm as well. Alright, let's draw Bloodbraid Elf. Shot called. Lego. Let's go. Never didn't have it. We even have both Fries in hand, so we can't cascade into those dead ones. And here's another stomp. Let's do it. I think we're just going to cast this Bonecrusher. No, I don't think we actually will. I think putting them to 5 and holding up a flash threat is good enough against Verdict. They need the 4th land, obviously. They don't have it. Alright, obviously we got pretty lucky there, but the deck, it beats fair decks pretty handily. Not all the time, obviously, no guarantee, but we've seen this so far in every match against except the Titan one, where if the opponent's, like, trying to go back and forth a little bit, the 8 Cascade Waterfalls build, and then the built-in 2-for-1s on top of that with these Adventure cards and Dreadhorde Arcanist and just, like, the suspended Ancestral Vision. This was about to come off suspend and draw us another 3. It's insane, guys. I'm obviously not even playing optimally. In many ways, you probably don't have to, but also in many ways, this deck does reward nuanced play, I would say. Anyway, we're cruising. It's been a relatively fast-paced league, I think, although our control opponent might disagree because they're 7 minutes ahead of us on the clock. Granted, they didn't have that many decisions to make, it seemed, in these matches. But we've cashed, let's go. A strong entrance into MH2 and a strong debut for Shardless Agent in Modern. But it's not over yet. We got round 5 to go. Let's play that. Alright, on the draw, I think this hand is a little borderline, but probably good enough to keep. We got a little bit of everything. I think we're going to give it a keep. We'd love to be on the play with this, right? But we can suspend AV in a grindy game. We can Serum Visions to set up in a quicker game. We've got Stomp for turn 2 removal, or a Dreadhorde Arcanist if the opponent's not interacting. It's not the best hand we've seen. Honestly, Utopia Sprawl's been pretty impressive at accelerating our game plan. I have to give Alex 100% credit for that. That said, we don't have it here, so I think on average we're hoping the opponent wants to play a grindy game here, but we'll see. We'll see if they're going to play at all. There they go. Okay. Arid Mesa, not usually a sign of a grindy game. Obviously, we need a Steam Vents here to turn on our hand against Burn Exactly. Obviously, that's a little bit of a risk, but we need to play with red, so I think I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid. Go ahead and cast a Serum Visions here. Or should I suspend AV? Because, like, we don't even know what we're visionsing into. No, I'm still going to go for Visions, just trying to, like, set up a 3rd land, basically. Which we have naturally, so why don't we bottom both of the cards here? We'll bottom Suspend, and we'll bottom Misty Rainforest. We could set it up to Agent into that if we'd put the land on top, but with us possibly casting another Serum Visions next turn, I'm not sure we're supposed to. And we draw yet another Serum Visions. Interesting, interesting. Alright. Rogren Triome. We might be against Jeskai Control. I think we are. I think I'm just going to suspend an Ancestral Vision, get the Stomping Ground down. We weirdly do kind of want double blue with this hand, but that's why we'll sequence that way. And we just get to go Agent T3 against another control deck, it seems. I don't want to play Dreadhorde Arcanist and do a Bolter Helix. Or Permission, for that matter. We're going to puzzle some opponents with some of these openers, right? They might think that we're like an As for Told deck or something like that, or some other kind of combo deck. We'll see what OP's got. Please no Little Tef. Whoa! Seize the Spoils, so they discard Time Warp. We're against taking turns? Or a deck that takes turns anyway, if it's not taking turns. Draw 2 and create a treasure token? Oh my god, this is so punishing for our keep and maybe for our deck in general. We'll have to see. Wrenn and Six could be good, but I think we go Shardless here. Wrenn opens up a lot of pathways, though, for us. We can go Wrenn into Serum Visions here, pick up the 4th land. If I could, like, Shardless into a Wrenn, that'd be great. I think we're going to go Wrenn. Judgment Call. I don't think we want We don't want another land. I don't think we want another Dreadhorde Arcanist either, so I'm going to bottom both. Drawing another suspend card, pretty bad. If the opponent just starts taking a bunch of turns, we're in big trouble. If they're trying to play like Exhaustion, at least the Wrenn can keep doing stuff, but it looks like they are comboing here. Dwarven Mine into Transmogrify. Till they reveal a creature card. Put that onto the battlefield for Velomachus Lorehold. We are seeing Savor the Moment, which is a low curve turn spell. We're seeing Flame Slash. We're seeing Little Tef, Indomitable Creativity. All right, a combo deck I don't really know about. We're seeing Remand as well. This seems like a real bad matchup for us because they're comboing. They're also interacting in relevant ways, and especially they have Tef. But I don't know if opponent failed to put this card into play right now. Did they misclick, or because it appears that they have priority, but there's not anything waiting to be selected. But I've never seen this card cast before online, or anywhere else for that matter, so who knows. Oh no. I'm not this bad at typing, but my microphone's in the way when I try to type when I'm recording. Opponent says, did I miss something? Why didn't it go into play? So, misclick confirmed. That could give us a free win. We have no business getting in game one, but opponent might play it out anyway because we haven't presented any kind of clock. They might have the combo rolled up all over again. Who knows? Velomachus Lorehold would have been obviously nutty against us there. And we're still not really doing much to write home about. So I think we're supposed to just Serum to try to set up a good cascade for Shardless Agent here. Alright, we see Jace and Ancestral Vision. Neither of those are good cascades. I think we need to... I mean, Ancestral Vision's a really good cascade, but not in this matchup, not in this situation. So I think we were supposed to bottom both and just blind cascade, which is really unfortunate. And our draw of Serum was bad as well. We are way too dirtily right now for this matchup for our own good. Hey, there we go. That's a good one. Crashing Footfalls. All right, so we've got a decent clock put together. 2 hits and they're dead from this board, but obviously they could just combo off yet again. Okay, there's Indomitable Creativity, and there's another Velomachus Lorehold. And we see Prismari Command, more Velomachus, more turns effects. It's a fascinating build, really. And then we'll see what they got here. So we got kind of like a mulligan here. Not in the Magic sense, but like in the golf sense. You know, we got like a free hole or a redo or something like that because the opponent apparently misclicked, or perhaps there was a bug. And they're going to Lorehold into Prismari Command. So we've got Flying, Vigilance, Haste, and Repeated Value. I guess there's not really a game-winning hit here unless they're just chaining Time Warps. But obviously that's pretty darn good. So what did they do here? They made Treasure and they looted? I guess? I think so. And they're attacking us. Alright, if we draw Lightning Bolt, we can kill Lorehold and maybe win this game. Or another Stomp plus a Wrenn ping, but we're just not getting any love. Just not getting any love here. Okay, so... well, I think we attack with everything, and if they go for a block, then we get to put together a kill. And if not, we'll then just decide what to do. Take the block. Take the block. Take the block. They take the block. Oh, then they see the Wrenn. So now they take this other block, but that's okay, because we'll still kill it with a Wrenn Ping and a Bonecrusher Stomp, and then we'll play a Bonecrusher and try to end the game. Are they not going to block it all? Oh, come on, you're no fun. You're no fun whatsoever. All right. So even if we Ketria Triome into a Lightning Bolt, we can't cast everything this turn. So with that in mind, I think we maybe just like, well, we actually don't want to fetch, because we're dead in 2 hits if we do fetch, and we're not if we don't. So what do we think about ping them, play a tap land, hold up Stomp, play Arcanist? I think I'm going to go for that. Not that Arcanist does much here, but... Alright, we need a whiff off of Velomachus Lorehold here. And we need a whiff out of their hand. We need no turn spells, basically, in either. Okay, Teferi. Okay, I guess that draws out our Stomp. That's some bad news, I guess. But, I mean, if that's their play from hand, they bounce a Rhino. But now they're... Like, if they brick here, like, this deck plays Remand. Oh, of course they don't hit Remand. They hit Time Warp. There's selection involved, right? So I shouldn't be that salty, but... Alright. We just need another brick. That's all. Oh, Lightning Bolt. Okay, no other brick. Alright, real bad matchup for us. But hey, we sign up to beat fair decks, not to beat unfair decks, and that's what we're seeing here. I should have looked more closely before I clicked off there. Are they providing us with any of their effects, ways to surgically extract things? Possibly. I think we might want to play this card overall. Because we're not really doing anything else. We might... Actually, Fry kills Velomachus Lorehold. That's pretty hype. But it kills Teferi too, so we need that. I haven't seen use cases for other spells besides like a Grudge to kill the treasure token or whatever, which is relevant, right, with Indomitable creativity, but I don't think we're supposed to play that. So, we got to cut some grindy cards, and it's probably like a couple Ancestral Vision, a Jace. I think these things are still potentially useful as one-ofs, and then maybe like a Thought Scour. Well, we could, like, if we're desperate, we could blindly scour them and then try to extract whatever game winner we hit. That's actually kind of live, so why don't we cut a Serum Visions instead of that Thought Scour? I don't know how much of a chance we have here. But with a double, this is effectively a 6-land hand. Double Sprawl, Lightning Bolt, 4 lands, obvious mulligan. Okay, this one's got some proactive things to do. I guess that's about as much as we can hope for. I don't see the Cascade threats to get a quick clock going. But we'll keep this, and maybe we have the Wombo combo of Extraction and Thought Scour, but part of me does just want to bottom one of them. If this was just a 7, I'd be happy enough, right? Because then we could go a little bit ham. But, I wonder if we are supposed to just bottom Utopia Sprawl here. We're not, like, accelerating to anything. So that lets us go turn 1 Thought Scour, turn 2 Arcanists, maybe start trying to extract them out of the game. Or we could Thought Scour ourselves for tastier Dreadhorde Arcanist targets. So I think I'm going to do that and bottom the Sprawl. I can't bring myself to bottom Bonecrusher because it's just like the only respectable clock that we have, right? Interesting deck from the opponent. I've heard a little bit of talk about it. I haven't seen it in action yet, and I don't know exactly how builds vary, right? But certainly we have no permission in the deck, as I think I mentioned in the deck tech, and no, we're not playing black either. So very bad combo matchup. But we've already cashed. We've beaten up on the fair decks well enough to do that, right? So that's something. I'm going to Thought Scour the opponent. I think we need to get lucky here. Oh, I'm so punished for getting a basic island. Wrenn and Six, I did forget about that. That's annoying. I was just going to comment on that as I was taking my turn, because as we saw, our life total does absolutely matter. The opponent, for example, didn't have a chance to brick because they bolted. Man, now that they're on the Wildfire plan, that's kind of disgusting. So, I mean, we're going to free cast a Thought Scour next turn. So let's just count how many lands of each color we have left to naturally draw. So overall, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's not even count fetch lands and not even count the Triome, wherever it is. So we have 1, 2, 3 that make green, but not blue. Plus the 2 forests for 5. And then cards that make red. Wait, why am I counting blue? I'm just basically trying to determine whether I'm likely to draw a red land or a green land naturally. So we should be counting things that make green but not red, and vice versa. So we have 2 forests and 2 breeding pools for green, and 2 Waterlogged Groves. That's 6. Cards that make red but not green are Steam Vents, Basic Mountain. So I think we should be getting the Mountain here. I'm probably missing something. I'm not going to think about that anymore. Mountain it is. Mountain it is. And we draw the basic forest. Let's go. All right. Not that this is like good enough against their deck anyway, but at least we're functional now. So now with I think for maybe 1 turn before they're ready to combo off, I'm supposed to Thought Scour myself to keep the value going with Arcanist. Okay, next turn we can cast Crashing Footfalls if they don't have an answer to our creature or our graveyard. Suspending an Ancestral Vision, very unexciting, as was blind drawing another basic island. Very unexciting, but it is what it is. Then again, maybe we should have just, as good as the Footfalls is for our clock relative to what we had, maybe we should have just hoped to blindly extract one of their combo pieces by blindly milling them and then target extraction of their combo piece. I don't know. They can loot away, multiples of combo pieces. That's a potential surgical window that doesn't look like we're going to have. Utopia Sprawl off the top. Man, this deck is wildly variant. I mean, the Rhinos continue to be very impressive here, not gonna lie. I guess we'll keep taking Wrenn up, although I don't necessarily know why. I think we're just casting the Giant here to make our clock as strong as possible. I should also have considered that more, just like pinging with Wrenn. I'm kind of down at the end of my energy levels here, so I'm starting to not think quite so much as I should. We also shock there to take us to 15. It's just a little sloppy here in the final, what I assume is the final game for me, but this is such a bad matchup, it doesn't matter. The opponent's going to time warp us out of the game, I suspect. Alright, so I think on the draw step I'm going to extract Time Warps. This leaves us dead to Lightning Bolt, but we're playing for high upsides here, I guess. Okay. As predicted, we're dead to a Lightning Bolt, so absolutely wrecked by this combo deck, which we need a different build to compete with. It's another one where Blood Moon actually looks pretty decent, right? At least if it's early enough, but certainly Permission would be live as well. Alright, my friends, so that was our first Modern Horizons 2 League. It was a pretty special one. It was definitely very interesting. A positive result on the whole, and more or less going exactly as we would expect kind of broadly. But even if the broad trends are evident, it is not always as on the nose as we saw in this league here. So thank you once again to Alex Cotier, and thank you again to our new Inquisitor, John Cater, as well as to all the other patrons. We've had an influx of new ones I shouted out on the Rakdos video, and all the long-standing patrons as well. I love this community. I thank you for your support and for your viewership. So this went exactly like we thought it would, but again, in a way that is even more evident than I expected. I think, my friends, we need probably some kind of way to compete against unfair decks, and Blood Moon is good against fair decks, good against unfair decks, good with Utopia Sprawl, and it might make cards like Brazen Borrower and Jace the Mind Sculptor a little bit worse. Frankly, it's going to make Shardless Agent a little bit worse too, so I understand why we didn't play it. That said, I don't know what else to do against big mana with a deck like this. The other thing that we need against combo that could play a role against big mana, but is just not going to be good enough to move the needle too much, is Force of Negation, or other forms of permission that do not get cascaded into by Shardless Agent at least. Obviously, Force still getting cascaded into by Bloodbraid Elf. This is the systemic problem of the Temur Waterfalls deck, and I think it's actually a pretty strong deck, but it just has those big systemic problems, and I don't quite know how to solve them, but I do know how to kind of observe a list, and we noticed that from the start, and that was very evident here. That said, I still have to give Alex 100% deck building credit, because this deck outperformed my expectations in the fair game stakes, and indeed, the question mark over Utopia Sprawl, this card really proved its worth. Now, will it guaranteed be present in the final form of optimized Temur Waterfalls after people have been playing for a few weeks? They've got a collectively tens of thousands of reps in, and the meta has settled. I don't know, maybe, maybe not, but my goodness, it was incredible here. We, even finding a few off the top and, unopportune times, it wasn't really that bad, because we were getting so many 2-for-1s with Agent and Bloodbraid Elf, and Ancestral Vision, and Crashing Footfalls, and Dreadhorde Arcanist, and even Wrenn and Six, and Bonecrusher Giant, and we, in theory, had one lined up with Brazen Borrower, although we never cast that card, nor did we ever resolve a Jace, but we did cast one against Control. Anyway, my friends, I think the shell's very promising, but I think it's going to basically be relegated to the category category of being good against fair decks, we're going to need to get creative against other opponents. And, against big mana specifically, we do have 4 Cleansing Wildfires. Titan's still going to be tough even with those, but against Tron we could clean up, right? Against Tron we've got the Grudge, we've got the Wildfires. There's enough to do that, and of course Surgical Extraction could come in there. That maybe the Tron matchup is actually okay, but against Amulet Titan, probably one of our worst matchups. Against that Indomitable Creativity combo deck, that also seems like one of our worst matchups. All of their interaction is relevant, and we are basically powerless to race them or to stop their combo in most ways. So considering the matchups that we got, 2 are probably, bordering on the proverbial 2080, although that might not be the literal number, you understand the concept. And then the fair matchups, we 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 them, right? Those are not necessarily decks that we would expect to roll over and die to a powerful fair strategy. We faced Esper Control, we faced Hammer Time, like green Hammer Time with Luris and with some interactive spells and protection spells, and we faced Mono Red Obosh, so a wide spectrum of opponents that are playing fairer strategies, and we kind of rolled them. So, very fascinating league. I gotta say, it is addicting to spin the wheel with these Cascade cards when you don't know what you're gonna hit, when you are doing it for value, and you are having these amazing hits like Footfalls and Ancestral Vision, which we saw plenty of here. I think there is certainly untapped potential in this shell, and we'll have to see what the community as a whole comes up with. Until then, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Thanks once again to Alex, one of the most generous supporters, a really cool guy. Love talking to him, love brewing up decks with him, and hopefully this was fun for you, my friend, to watch. So thank you again, everybody, and I will see you for, I think, the next gameplay video. Maybe we've got 1 or 2 more Will It Rocks to do, but I think this weekend we've got a Jund donation league that's lined up with a lot of the new MH2 tech. Stay tuned for that, of course, and for everything else to come. We'll talk to you then.